Hello, this is Jaster from KoR Live. Thank you for tuning in. This is a quick message before we get into tonight's podcast episode. If you like the show and you'd like to find our latest episodes, check us out on Spotify. The link's in the description. It's the best place to support the channel either through subscribing or donating. Thank you for putting up with me. Now let's get into tonight's episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from the ranch outside, it's the KoR Live podcast. Welcome everyone to the KoR Live. We've got a good show for y'all. We've got two wonderful guests with us, but of course, as always, I am joined by my lovely co-host, Jaster.
How's it going, y'all? Like Devin said, we got a great show planned for y'all today. Got a new guest in here today. Kazari, tell us what kind of games you're into, what you do around here in the guild, all that kind of stuff.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Kaz. That's not actually my main nickname I go by, but I go by it around here. It's funny because now I'm so used to being called this. Like when I get called my actual alias, I'm like, wait, is that really my name? I mainly love RPGs, particularly Japanese RPGs, sci-fi FPS games, point-and-click games. And if you put a mecha in anything, I will immediately jump on that game. I have almost 800 hours put into Puyo Tetris. And I'm reaching I'm close to 500 hours on Puyo Tetris 2. I will smoke your ass in Puyo Tetris.
Man.
So as for what I do around the free company, I like to call myself the sheriff. I'm a pretty active voice when it comes to keeping the server organized and stuff like that. I do player recruitment, player retention as well. I'm pretty active in the community.
Well, you do a lot of important work around here, for sure. Now, our other guest, however, this fool is back, Archer.
This lazy ass.
Yo, I'm just here as a diversity hire. Gotta get them numbers up.
Oh my god. See, what no one knows is that he's our diversity officer. And anybody that really knows him knows that that's not good.
No, it is not. No, it is not. Literally the worst person for the job.
Alright, so what you been up to, Archer?
The only thing that I've been up to is being a problem.
So nothing new then.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing new.
Well, what kind of games you been into?
Same games I'm always into. JRPGs, played Rune Factory 5. Xenoblade 3 just came out, so I might give that a try. Digimon Survive just came out, so I'm trying that out. Love me a good old visual novel. So,
well, we're going to talk about Digimon Survive.
Man, I guess that's a good way to get into it. So, I know one thing that we probably haven't discussed too much on the podcast, but one of the few franchises that connects the whole community, other than, I would say, Final Fantasy, Pokemon, Star Wars, and Gundam, would probably be Digimon. So many people in our group grew up on Digimon right alongside Pokemon. For me personally, it was my preferred anime out of the two growing up. And so I got big into Cyber Sleuth 1 and Cyber Sleuth 2. Loved those games. I've been wanting to try to get into it.
Jaster, I want you to slow down right there. Hacker's Memory isn't technically a sequel.
I mean, let's not.
Listen, we can get into the weeds about Hacker's Memory.
The reads of it's that it's a good game. Hella good game.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. 100%. It builds on the foundation Cyber Sleuth laid down. And I have been streaming Cyber Sleuth on Tuesdays. I also streamed it yesterday because it was a Daiba day. As of this recording, you can find me on twitch.tv/showdeska Mechadork. That's SHOUDESUKA_Mechadork. Word Mecha and then the type of person dork. I stream on Mondays from 2:50 p.m. to about 7:30, and then Tuesdays from 3 to 8 or something like that. So coming out, I play RPGs and I yell at them a lot.
We'll go ahead and make sure that the Twitch channels for everybody that streams and on the show is also included. So anybody that likes what you hear can also go on and see if any of us are live on Twitch as well, which would be awesome.
I'm in this very weird position when it comes to Digimon Survive. I've been very invested in following the development of this game over the last 5 years. It's been in its development hell, but I'm not actually buying the game itself.
Now, why though? What makes that different?
Okay, so
It's not mechs.
Well, all right. No, actually, I have a good explanation for this. So, Digimon Survive is built primarily as a visual novel with tactical elements, as compared to Super Robot Wars, which is usually billed as a strategy game that's got these nice cutscenes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not here to play a game that has majority text reading. Like, if you strip the tactical elements out of this would be like a pure standalone visual novel. I'm 99% sure you could rip the tactical like segments out, and the story would still hold up. How many of you guys like are super intimate with the development history of the game?
I'm not intimate with the development history at all.
So it got announced not too long after Hacker's Memory was released.
What?
Is that long ago?
That long?
Yep, that long ago.
There was a developer change at one point, and that was when progress on the game actually finally started to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is development on a Japanese game, there's not that much info out there. Like, usually when it comes to, like, English games that are in development hell for a long time, there's usually headlines and interviews and such that you can kind of follow, like a trail of breadcrumbs. This is a Bandai Namco game, so I know diddly fucking squat. After about year 2, I started looking at Digimon Survive as a turd that's stuck in the colon that's preventing the next Digimon story game from coming out. I just wanted them to, like, you know, drink their prune juice, shit the game out, work on the next RPG. You know,
Honest.
2 tidbits of information about the next Digimon story game. So 1, it's not set in the same setting as Cyber Sleuth. The setting of the next one is actually going to involve the digital world a lot more.
Oh, thank God.
Okay.
And then the other one is that the Olympus 12 are going to be featured heavily in the story. The Olympus 12 are a set of Digimon that are themed after the Greek gods, which is great, because one of my favorite Digimon lines of all time is actually part of the Olympus 12, which is the Coronamon line, which ends up creating Apollomon.
He definitely was one of my favorites. Like, me personally, I never really, like, I always liked those big, bad level, like, Digimon back in the day, like the Ultra grade and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, it's funny, because, like, you say Ultra grade, but, like, there's only a handful of those. Digimon, they have their in-training, their baby form, their in-training form, their rookie form, then they go champion, ultimate, mega, and then there's one step beyond that called ultra. There's very few like actual Digimon that are considered ultra. And this is a relatively new term in the lore. It's also a name that technically really only exists in the English lore, but I think it's kind of a necessary one. The Japanese name for this form is Super Ultimate, which I think is kind of silly.
I like it, though. That's cheesy. I'm down.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
Give me Mega Super Ultimate next.
Mega Super Ultimate Champion.
We decided, you know what, we're going to call this Ultra instead. It's basically just a thing to notify, like, exceptionally powerful mega level Digimon.
I would almost say God level in the digital world.
Basically, yeah. And you have to understand, Digimon is a franchise where it's very common where you look at the lore of a mecha Digimon, it's like, oh yeah, he swings his sword and he cuts down millions of people all at once, or something like that. Like, Digimon power scaling is like playground power scaling, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. It's total one-upsmanship the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, don't try to sit down and effectively try to assign power levels to Digimon. You're going to have a bad time.
Well, how about this? I'll say my top two Digimon evolution lines. We can all see where we all stand on this.
Well, see, that's also a fun subject, because one reason I will always prefer Digimon over Pokemon, evolution is not linear.
True, and like I really like how wild that gets.
Yeah, you can go back and forth.
There are certain like kind of signature lines, like you got Agumon, you know, Greymon, you know, Metal Greymon, War Greymon. Like, that is the Agumon line, but nobody says you have to go to Greymon and Metal Greymon on the way to War Greymon. He could be Tyrannomon, and then he could turn into Strikemon, and then he could turn to War Greymon. That's totally a thing that could happen, and that's why I love Digimon.
My favorite in that line was always Skeletal Greymon.
Oh, the Dark Evolution, yeah.
He was my favorite, because that episode was wild when that happened. It was like, oh my god, what's happening to Agumon?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he was losing complete control there for a while. My favorite two lines, Patamon, Seraphimon will always be probably my favorite.
Angemon is forever known as the I win button.
Yes.
TK would always evolve last, and whenever he did, they would win instantly, because Angemon is that busted.
My favorite fight was between Holy Angemon and Black War Greymon. and he was still holding his own very well against this overpowered mega level Digimon.
Yeah, for some reason, the original Adventure anime never gave mega levels to the others, and I don't know if it was just because of lack of time, or if they didn't plan it, or what.
Hit the same
now,
ballpark.
Thankfully, we have had extended media to kind of fill that in, and thankfully, officially, those are now canonical forms, thanks to it's really one of the only good things Digimon Tri did, now that I think about it.
Yeah. We won't spend an hour shitting on Digimon Tri, though.
If we don't comment on it, it's not canon, right? So.
That's the same thing with the Darth Jar Jar theory in Star Wars, so I feel like I just irked everybody on that one.
Oh, you're good.
It's a very exclusive club. Like, there's about 20 or so. Dukemon Crimson mode,
my boy.
Full Force Vidramon Future mode, Shine Greymon Burst mode, Armageddon, Apocalypmon, Beelzebub Last mode, Chaosmon, Demon Ultra, Examon. Most of like the 4 Devas are considered Ultras.
Yeah.
Oh wait, my bad. It's Huang Longmon, the master of the 4 Devas. He's considered an Ultra. The
yeah.
The big old gold dragon dude. Yeah. Susanoo-mon. Pretty much any of the extra forms of Omegamon are.
Right.
Yeah, no, we're not. So that's just kind of an idea. If you want to go look at it, I recommend go looking at wikimon.net, because Digimon Wiki sucks because it uses Wikia and it relies on dub names, and it's like inferior architecture and inferior, like, just not as well researched, and
it's not the place to go.
Yeah, no, if you listen, if you need to do a quick look up on a Digimon, wikimon.net, I'm telling you.
All right.
Anyways, right, so I guess we were going around the table listing our favorite Digimon.
I had like one left to go, and then I was going to pass her around. And you actually kind of you hit one of them, my last one. On, although he's not my favorite in the line, my favorite Digimon probably of all time is Flamedramon. Like from the Vidramon line.
Oh yeah, his first armor evolution. Yeah,
dude, I was so hyped when that happened. Like, I still use him on my Cyber Sleuth teams. Like, I don't even care that he's not so powerful. I just sit there and train the crap out of him until he can punch.
That's the glory of the Cyber Sleuth system. Like, oh, why are his base stats like champion level? That doesn't matter. His ABI is like 200 now, and now he's got stats on par with a Mega. Fuck you.
Yeah, he will just roast things. But, like, I loved the Vidramon line, and I believe probably why was I was a little too young for Gen 1 Digimon when I was watching it. Like, the Akakumon line was my favorite back then. And when Zoramon and all of them guys, like...
Well, first off, everybody loves Gilmamon, so...
Mm-hmm. So, like, I loved them. But the second generation was where I was able to understand more story and everything. I was like 7 or 8 at the time, I believe. And I was really getting into it. And Vidramon, probably, in my opinion, my favorite line, like champion form, everything. Like, I love Agumon, I love Greymon. Greymon's a little bit higher up on, like, I'm sorry, what's his name? Garurumon's line. Like, I like him a little more than Greymon's line, but to me, Vidramon, bruh, you can't go wrong. Then he's got his own Ultra form at the very end of the day. But, alright, I'll go around the table, see what everybody else likes. Who'd like to go next?
How you go next, Devin?
Okay. So, my all-time favorite, it was the one that I picked as soon as I saw it as a kid, the Tentamon line.
Fucking bugs,
I love
bro.
His line and his, like, I guess you can call it his dark evolution at the end. Was it Tyrant Kabuterimon?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, Tyrant Kabuterimon rules.
Second place for me, I guess, would be very close second, would be the Vidramon line leading up to All Force Vidramon. He's my favorite of the Royal Knights for a reason.
Yeah.
I like my Speedy Boy.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Archer?
Well, so which also means you are also a big fan of the V-Tamer 01 manga. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that you're usually a mark for that if you like All Force Digimon. So for me, I already mentioned I'm a huge fan of the Coronamon line. Always have been ever since I first saw him in the advertising for Digimon World Dawn. Another favorite of mine is I love the Dorumon family. Whether it be his evolution, Dorumon and Ryutamon, it's kind of more of this like area of evolutions rather than it's just one line because they're from the manga Digimon Chronicle. So they have all these alternate evolutions like Raptorjamon and Gratamon and stuff like that. Alphamon is my favorite Royal Knight and always has been. Ever since I first saw him in X Evolution. Really, really damn good movie despite being like mid-2000s CG. But, you know, they don't try to animate any humans with it, which is why it works. Also, a really depressing film. It's literally about the death of a world and the struggle of the people remaining inside it. Get some alcohol when you watch it. The score is fantastic, though. I could listen to that film score anytime. It's like one of my favorite film scores of all time. Right after it was like Char's Counterattack. The only difference is I don't have any official way to listen to it, so I have to go to YouTube to listen to it, and it pisses me off. somebody release this shit on streaming. Come on. Anyways, and then also, I love my boy Gatsumon. Because Homeboy has 3 levels where the only difference between his evolutions is he changes colors.
Gatsumon, Icemon, Meteormon.
It's like he goes from just being a rock to frozen rock to a space rock, and then he turns into Bancho Golemon and he beats the shit out of you with his giant bat.
Oh my goodness.
And that, yeah, I love Gatsumon. He's my boy. He is my boy. I love him.
What about you, Archer?
You already know one of them. Fucking Gallantmon Crimson Mode, all-time favorite Digimon of all time.
Oh, so you're a big Guilmon fan, huh?
No, actually, I like Guilmon.
He only likes the end forms.
Yeah, I literally only like Gallantmon and Crimson Mode. I don't hate Guilmon, but Growlmon and Mega Growlmon, I hate. They're ugly to me. I don't like them. I don't like looking at them.
But they're Takato's OCs. Original characters don't steal.
I don't like looking at them. They make me like every time I look at them, I'm just like, why couldn't you have been better? Why can't you be like this thing that I love so much? You know what I mean?
They were drawn by a 10-year-old.
Yeah, they probably were, and that's probably
they literally were.
That's
like
how it came to be.
Literally in the episode
God.
where he starts designing Growlmon, he's like, I'm gonna make Greymon but cooler.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But yeah, I like War Growlmon a lot more than I like just Growlmon, because Growlmon is just very ugly to me. And
well, you don't like his mullet?
It's his whole shape. It's his whole shape. He feels very weird.
To me, regular Growlmon feels kind of just boring to look at, honestly.
Yeah, because he's Guilmon, but bigger.
That's all it is. Guilmon, he grew bigger and he grew hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, because with Greymon, you have the stripes that are introduced. Well, no, that's on Geo Greymon. With Greymon, at least you get the.
Get stripes.
Are the stripes on normal Greymon? Okay, yeah, right. It's just they're larger on Geo Greymon, right.
On Geo.
And you get the cool T-Rex skull thing with the horns. Growlmon, it's like he's bigger. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Well, he gets those rings around his thighs. The rings of coating, but I think those were always there on Guilmon too. I want to say.
I think they were.
Yes, they. Well, okay. The bands were there, but they don't have the code, the digi code on them. That's the difference.
They get more detailed with the evolve, but that's about it. And
yeah. Well, see, I have a soft spot for that line just because Tamer's is my favorite anime in the franchise.
It's really good though.
It's really good.
I love Tamers. It's not my favorite Digimon anime, but that's just me.
Okay, well, we'll go around the table after we say our favorite lines and say which one it is.
That's like we've been here.
No, let's talk about Digimon the whole episode.
I've been literally thinking this the whole time. We've been here for a minute. We've been here for a minute.
No, it's fine. It's fine. This is a Digimon podcast now.
I'm gonna say my next favorite Digimon and just leave it there. Next favorite Digimon. He's very recent. Agumon, Bond of Bravery. Love him. Love the design. Love his relevance to fucking Kizuna. Love it. Yes.
The movie made me cry.
That movie made me cry for real.
I have a confession to make. I haven't watched the movie yet.
Do you want to borrow my DVD?
I probably will. I've got to go grocery shopping.
It is good.
And like I've just started grocery shopping at the new one they built up right by your place.
Not only that, but the new movie covers that like blank period between the movies. From Tai Chi being a kid to when he's grown, being an adult. Like it covers that blank period that we don't really know what happened to everybody, and we don't know how they got here. Like Tai Chi being
at the end of 02, where Tai was like, "Yeah, I'm a politician now," and then Matt was like, "I'm an astronaut." It's like, wait, didn't you want to start a band?
It covers that blank period. Now it doesn't go into detail. It's literally just the ending credits, like a slideshow of. This is what they did afterwards, sort of thing.
Oh no!
It's just.
Well, you know what? The new 02 movie looks like it's going to shed a bit more light on that because one of the screen caps is Tai in the middle of like a political meeting or something like that. So, who knows?
It is a continuation of Tribe. Like it is going to be a continuation, but it's not like, hey, this is. Try episode 7. It's like this is a new thing now.
Yeah.
God, I could do an entire podcast just shit talking Try.
I know me and you could. We watched all of them together at this point. I don't think we never watched the last one.
No, we watched those separately because we were just so done with.
Like, didn't y'all watch them in a hotel room when you were at a con?
We watched one of them.
We watched one of them in a hotel room when we were at a con. Yeah,
sitting on it the entire time. Spoiler alert, by the way. It was the one where, like, the Digimon lose their memories. Basically, they get reset, and they have to like. Rebond with
that's after they go it's after they go to the digital world, and there's this one scene me and Devin will never stop making fun of. So Mugendramon shows up and he has like Mimi and Sora and their Digimon dead to rights. They're like pinned at this like the tail end of this canyon. There's walls on all three sides of them, and Mugendramon's right in front of them. He turns his big old cannons up, and he fires point blank, and he somehow misses. We will forever give him shit for that.
Go like Mugendramon, they were right.
Yeah,
there.
We always pretend like what's the name of that group of villains? They're like the
Masters or whatever.
Yeah, we always pretend that the Dark Masters have like this office in Tokyo, and like Piedmon is like the boss, and he sits in there with the suit, and so Mugendramon's in there huddled in the office, and Piedmon is like, they were right there. But we do need to move on from this topic, even though I could talk about Digimon all day.
We'll have a special later on. We'll release a special.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
It won't be an official episode. It'll be like a whatever number 0.5. The Digimon episode.
It'll just be me and Devin drinking alcohol and sitting on Try.
It'll be a Patreon special. How about that?
Just let's not talk about the Patreon specials when we're not even big enough to have one yet.
Who knows?
Not good enough.
So we're getting there.
Anyway, on to gaming news.
It's time for gaming news.
I've got a very tiny thing to talk about. Every single episode at this point, I've either had something to say about Halo Infinite because god damn it, I want it to be good.
Yeah.
I'm on the same boat as Devin is.
Halo Infinite Forge might be coming in September, which would be next month. According to a roadmap 343 is released, it might be September, but unfortunately they also put that nice little question mark next to it. So we'll see.
Oh, you just gotta love that.
At least they're being relatively transparent. Like, it might be there. We're not promising anything.
To be fair,
at least they're not just saying, "Oh, it's going to be there September," and then September comes and it never comes.
to be
Yeah,
fair,
they've gotten in
See, I'm more interested in like the Gundam like armor sets that they're gonna be releasing on Master Chief Collection soon.
yeah, but they have like the Halo Infinite Forge was originally supposed to come out in season 3, which would have been past this coming up November. So it's like, holy fuck. But, you know, if we're getting that, that's pretty cool. The only thing we have is that little roadmap, and then a lot of content creators are like, this seems good, because they have tested it out with that Halo Infinite co-op flight test.
Mm-hmm.
There was a way on PC only to get into the Forge mode, and it was very, very fleshed out, like ready to ship, fleshed out. So we'll see.
They're gonna be adding more to it?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'll send you some. I'll dig up some videos and I'll send them to you, Kaz. But like, it's impressive.
All right, okay.
The new Forge is impressive. What people have been making,
And that's really saying something, because Forge in 5 was like insane.
Like, people are to just put in perspective. This morning, I looked at a tweet where someone recreated the entirety of the. Do you guys remember that little horror short, the PT?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They recreated that 1-to-1 in Halo Infinite.
Oh, wow.
Like with all the loops
with
and
the
everything?
Scripts doing like stuff moving, you teleport back and it redoes everything, the jump scares, everything.
Wow. Wow.
It's insane, the amount of detail.
To quote Ian Malcolm, life finds a way.
Oh yeah. I'm excited to see what the community can make. But anyway, Jaster, you had some stuff going on in Singapore. Well, you didn't have stuff, but there's been some stuff happening in Singapore.
Okay, I think I actually know about this.
Indonesia,
First off, it was Indonesia, yeah.
We were talking about Singapore earlier. I got mixed up
Right.
with Johnny Depp.
The land of the pirates, baby.
Get your sea region countries straight, y'all.
I'm
Jesus.
sorry.
Well, it's called Oceania, okay? Give me a break, or Oceania. So, the land of the pirates, alright, Singapore, be doing some
It wasn't
wild,
Singapore, we just
wild
cleared
stuff.
We literally just clarified this.
Indonesia,
Jaster, we
I'm
literally just
sorry.
corrected you. It's Indonesia, bro.
So, guess what?
Oh my God.
Well, this is going to be an interesting episode title. So, Jester can't do geography. Episode 4. Indonesia has got a new set of regulations that they started rolling out 2 years ago. And they had given notice to all these big tech companies that, hey, you need to either sign on to this or you're no longer allowed to do business in Indonesia, which is an important part of the market share in that area because Indonesia makes up 40% of the population of Oceania. I imagine Australia is also a big chunk of that as well, but with that being said, they've locked out the following companies: Epic Games, Steam, Battle.net, Ubisoft, Origin, Nintendo, Yahoo, and PayPal. Which is huge. I mean, those are like some of the biggest companies we know of in tech over here. Now, why'd they do that? So, according to local news, according to social media, everything like that, the rub seems to be that the Indonesian government wants these companies to start handing over user data and to take down content that they deem unlawful or that quote-unquote disturbs public order, which to me is the sketchiest part of that whole thing. It's kind of vague, and like when you start getting vague with regulations, that's not good. You know what I mean? So what I'm kind of seeing is these big companies probably were like, listen, that's not cool. You know what I mean? So we're just going to see if we can put the pressure on to get that to change in any way, shape, or form. And it didn't. Like, the only company out of that entire list that has any temporary stoppage to the freeze on their bank accounts is PayPal. And they're only allowed to use their money to give the money back to the Indonesian people. And they have like 3 more days as of the recording of this episode to give back as much money as they can before the government just seizes the rest of it. So there's a lot of unrest going on social media and everything, because it's not just the gaming industry that's really kind of getting attacked by this. Because over here, PayPal is a huge service for commissioned artists and independent people in order to get paid internationally or otherwise. So it's a huge issue for them because, like I said, it's not just gaming people. It's not like these big companies are the only ones affected. There's plenty of small guys that are getting affected. There's plenty of artists out there that are getting affected. Anybody that's doing PayPal as business is getting affected right now. And like currently, it doesn't look like there's going to be too much difference going on. It looks like they're going to be going through with this anyway, despite public backlash, which is kind of wild because this is going to be affecting an estimated 191 million internet users.
Yeah.
Like, not good. So,
yeah, the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this is, so the VTubing industry is actually, like, the second biggest market after Japan for VTubing has actually recently become Indonesia. Because I don't want to get too much into the weeds because we already got pretty far into the weeds about Digimon.
Yeah.
About in terms of like market share and how come it's finally exploded over there and all that stuff. But TLDR is there's finally talents that speak to the audience demands that exist there basically. Because there would be Indonesian VTubers, but they would mainly stream to Japanese and English audiences. And recently there have been a small handful that have finally been like, yo, there's this massive fucking audience right here. Why are you guys not exploiting them despite the fact that you guys are from Indonesia? So, like Kobo from Hololive, there's one in Niji Sanji that just popped up and she's gotten pretty big too, and stuff like that. But like, anyways, that's gonna fuck their income up something big because like, all three of the major digital game distributors are on the span.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
It looks like the only companies that did the work to meet the deadline are Amazon, Facebook, and Google. Which, like, that's not going to be looking too hot because none of those guys are technically game developers. They're all game distributors. And then Facebook doesn't even do that, So, like, Google and Amazon are going to be the only way that people get games over there currently outside of in-house, in-country stuff, which might work out for VTubers because who knows, they probably have some sort of native system for all of that. You know what I mean? They're just trying to, in my opinion, it kind of seems like the government of Indonesia wants a little bit more of a cut as well out of all of the pie that's going on right now. So I'm imagining they probably got something set up for these people. That way they can still do business within Indonesia. However, they're probably going to get charged more. That's just kind of the way that works. But
it smacks of fascism.
Yeah, like I would say the corporate, the literal textbook definition of it, for sure.
Yeah, it's like, because like the fact that like the objectionable content part is so vague, they could just use it like pretty much to strong arm any company they want, more or less. I'm kind of reminded of this. It's like, okay, so I don't play the game, but news around it is always interesting. Genshin Impact, which first off, I don't play it. I don't care if it's a nice game. It's still a gacha game.
Right.
There's like one gacha game I play, and that's Rockman X Dive, and that's because the people who run the English servers are constantly giving away free shit in the game. I listen. I have not paid a single dollar for that game, and I am sitting on a massive horde of characters and shards and shit.
And that is awesome.
It is awesome, and as a Mega Man fan, I really like it because it's basically like the ultimate Mega Man game at the moment.
Okay.
At least that EXE collection finally got announced, so I just gotta wait another year.
Well, that's good.
Anyways, Genshin Impact has kind of been facing a similar issue with China, because China has also been doing a similar thing recently as part of their new expansion. There's kind of every couple years China kind of gets together and decides what's the direction we're heading in. And so then their most recent one that just happened like middle of last year, they decided we're going to focus on the education industry and technology industry. And we're going to reform them. And there's been some good mixed in with it, with a little bit of bad. Talking about China, like government, is kind of difficult to do because of well, you see, so there's this thing called United States propaganda, and it's really hard to find articles that actually discuss this shit really well without getting the China is the bad guy, like, perspective.
Right. Like, we want to see some real boots on the ground kind of reporting.
Well, yeah, like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of bad shit that government does. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, China's government is the best. No, they are by no means they are no angels by any means, but I'd like some actual journalism that hops around the jingoistic tendencies we have towards companies that are countries that are remotely better than us in any way, which isn't hard. And yeah, and so Genshin Impact, they've been kind of slowly getting their company out of China because China's been cracking down on a lot of media recently, especially in regards to effeminate men.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Which that doesn't work for that company at all, bro. Like,
no, because every guy in that game is either like a Bishonen or a femboy or a twink. Like,
I wouldn't go.
There are
that
very
far,
few actual characters.
Yeah, they're definitely not very. They're not very masculine looking men. They're not
There are not very many burly macho like characters, and I'm not knocking the game for that because I'm a character who my player character in Final Fantasy 14 is a Bishonen, but like they're like, that's something they're kind of cracking down on, and I think we're kind of going to see something similar go on here in Indonesia, where these companies are kind of going to find a way in, because like even the ones who are working with this, they're still really losing because they're getting user data harvested off of them.
Right, and like that's something that's like a modern problem that a whole lot of governments haven't really caught up to, and then like especially over here, because over in the United States, it's not so much the government. I mean, you can get into whatever conspiracy theory you want about that, but it's major tech companies that are buying and selling and trading user data here in the United States. And that's something that we're just now starting to talk about as we're electing younger politicians, people that are more tech savvy. Because, like, our problem is that we have...
Can I come out and say it? A lot of our politicians are old types and their souls are being dragged down by gravity.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, there's definitely things that they know.
Okay, I got my Gundam joke in. I'm good.
There's things that they know, but the internet's not one of them. Like, that's for sure.
Listen, the corporate establishment is what's destroying our...
Let's not get into political talk. Let's not.
Sorry.
Well, I'm more just talking about how
thank you for cutting me off there, Archer, because I was about to get up on the soapbox, bro.
Fair enough.
I was like, these fucking old people.
Well, on the other hand, though, like, it brings up an interesting point that a lot of these issues that's happening worldwide with these tech companies, with e-commerce, with gaming news, has to do with the fact that the governments overseeing these companies are, like, ran by people that think the internet comes from cats in tubes. Like, that literally came out in a House committee meeting one time. He's like, well, what is the internet? Well, it's a bunch of tubes with cats in them. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like,
the major problem is we relied on these companies so much to kind of help us advance us in terms of, like, our technological boom in the last 20 years, and we kind of just let them run roughshod to the point that now they control too much. I think Apple is one of the biggest examples of... Apple and Google really are the biggest examples of this problem. There's also the fact that during this tech boom, we also allowed all the corporations to take control of the internet. And the thing is, like, here's the thing. We very well could actually just go back to running our own websites and having, our own spaces that aren't controlled by corporations, right? But everybody decides to just hang out on the big corporate websites.
Right. I know.
And that's why I will continue to have a Tumblr, because that's one of the few places left. That and 4chan are like still the last remnants of the Wild West internet that existed.
Oh, man. Let me tell you, Something Awful forums is right there, too.
Okay.
But they're they're a whole other game. But, like, you know what I mean? But they're still Wild Westing it out there.
Okay.
Something Awful.
Before we start getting into this, I just want to say we don't have much time left, and we still have other shit to talk about.
Fair. So if you want, we can go ahead and talk about the actual pirates that we were wanting to talk about.
Exactly. All right.
How about that?
All
That
right.
sound
So this
good?
is the part where I sit down, I put my hands in my lap, and I begin smiling and nodding because I don't play this game.
Okay. So, Season 7, Sea of Thieves, is going to be coming out, and they just came out with a bunch of content on the news where they're kind of explaining the new content that we're going to be getting, and it's called the Captaincy Season or something to that effect, where instead of just logging in and then you got to customize your ship every time, and you're doing all this extra work, you're going to be able to purchase you can purchase a galleon, a sloop, or a brig, and then you can name it, you can set its custom default skin, all of that, and then you can even go into further customization down to the carpeting, down to like what kind of tables and chairs you want, and then they're even adding in achievement trinkets. So like say you've done, I don't know, the Golden Shores or something, you'll be able to hang up a trinket signifying you have done that achievement up in your captain's quarters. And the cool thing is that if you get into ship combat or you start getting hit with storms or wind or something crazy, all the stuff in your ship that you've been using as like, clout starts getting rocketed around. So like there could be legitimate instances where you're sitting here in your boat just having a good old time, and then a cannonball hits you, and then like 15 trinkets start flying all over the captain's quarters, and then you have to go and pick them up and rearrange them and all that stuff. So there's some cool stuff going on there. But I think personally, Sea of Thieves is that little game that could, even though it's by Rare Software, like one of the oldest developers in the game, been around since like the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64. Like, they gave us Donkey Kong 64, for Christ's sake.
They gave us Conker's Bad Fur Day. Come on.
Also, this is a thing about how like the rare that exists today is not that rare and all that stuff.
Right.
And
like Rare mostly just signifies the level of doneness that they cook their game until they serve it to the customer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
this is not the Rare of yore, because all the faces that made Rare of yore so good have gone on to greener pastures and mostly work in indie studios that they all started up. Case in point, shout out to your boy Grant Kirkhope for just being Grant Kirkhope.
Right. But I'd say like Sea of Thieves was one of those games that I think us as a group has probably had the most fun on, because like it's one of those sandbox games where you can just do whatever you want, and
that is both the point for and against it, because because of the open end of its design, its community is one of the more toxic ones, and it really has a lot of griefing and shit. And it's, God forbid you're a new player who hasn't touched the game before. The chances of somebody who has a super big ship coming up and rocking your shit just because they can are pretty high.
That's what happened in the show, and that's why he doesn't want to play it ever again. That's what happened. That's
exactly. First 5 minutes, he gets rocked up by a player galleon, and they start teabagging him and burning his ship to the ground.
I've been playing this game since literally day one, so I've seen it go through all of its changes. And when I tell you that this game used to be even worse.
Oh yeah, no. Launch month of Sea of Thieves was the most toxic cesspool of filth I have ever seen in a video game.
Because at that point, PvP was basically the only thing to do besides go dig up treasure for like 2 hours.
Right, because like the
Right.
like the questing system wasn't a thing. Like there wasn't a lot of things to do. So like griefing other players was the whole point of Sea of Thieves.
You guys remember when you would buy a game and it actually had all the content when you
we
bought
haven't
it?
had that. We haven't
Man.
had that for so long. I forgot what that was even like.
I know, right?
I remember a time before Fallout New Vegas. Like, that was the first game to do it. I love the game, but it was the first game to do a technical
No,
day one patch.
no, this is okay. Listen, all right. First off, no. I'm talking about games that come out incomplete. All right, listen, New Vegas is a different story because, first off, like, Obsidian didn't have as much time as they needed to make that game, and there's so much shit that they had to cut out as a result. But the base game as it is still really good. The DLCs are all just sprinkles on top of the really immaculate, like, pie that is that game, okay?
Right.
I'm talking about these games that come out nowadays where they're like, yeah, we really only have this one mode and there's nothing else for you to do. Go entertain yourselves while we go work on the rest of the game. Anyways, thanks for the money, suckers.
remember when Halo games released with everything?
The Hillshire Farms remembers.
Stop.
For sure.
I remember
But,
when
like-
Halo 5 was the last one to do that. Oh, wait, that was their one before this one. Crazy.
Yeah.
Right. No, so I think Sea of Thieves
Games as a
is,
service are a cancer on video games, and the sooner the idea dies out, the better.
I don't think
agree and
we're going
disagree on
to do
one.
that.
I agree and disagree to a very, very distinct degree on that.
There are games that do it well, but the idea and the effects it has had on video games are
Oh yeah,
horrendous.
no, I can agree. I 100.
That I don't think we can argue too hard.
Yeah, no, I agree on that.
Now, I think when it comes to Sea of Thieves, I think it kind of helped it out going to seasonal and all that kind of stuff due to the game's team and then the limitations on the game itself. It kind of helped it out a bit. But then again, like, I think it also opened the door because it was one of the first games that did it that way. And then a lot of other games started following suit with battle passes and all this other stuff. And then it started adding to the excuses of not having a lot of content at launch or not doing too many X packs anymore and all this other stuff.
Did you say
that started kind of trickling down?
Was the thing that started that? Is that what I just heard?
That was a problem before that.
Yeah, I was
It was
about
a
to say,
problem
are you?
before that.
No, that was a thing way before Sea of Thieves was even thought of.
Well, I mean, it happened years ago.
Yeah.
Early access was one of the contributing factors.
It was a couple years ago, but even a couple years before Sea of Thieves, that battle passes and like microtransactions to that degree were still running rampant before Sea of Thieves was even a thought. Well, probably not before.
So I guess a
It's
better
funny
way of
because
putting it,
didn't Sea of Thieves came out in 2017,
Yeah.
didn't it?
somewhere around there.
Yeah, let me
I
double check.
got you.
Well, I guess a better way of putting it is that once I started playing Sea of Thieves, I started seeing it around a lot more often.
18.
2018. Okay, so this was after the Battlefront 2
Yeah.
fiasco, which I still think I still immensely enjoy that
same.
game, horrendously unbalanced as
Same.
it is, because like, listen, there are not many like games like it where you play and you're like, shit, I'm in Star Wars.
I guess what we can say here is that if you like that game, you're really gonna like Galactic Contention, the squad mod, because it literally does Battlefield the way Battlefield should be, or Battlefront.
No,
I'm sorry.
Battlefront.
I agree and disagree to that because it's like a whole different can of worms because it's like that's more milsim-y than arcadey.
Yeah, I like Battlefront 2 because it's arcadey action. I jump in and I go and I shoot things and I go pew pew pew. Yeah, I'm a clone trooper.
Yeah.
Get fuck you clickers. This is a rebel scout.
Galactic Contention
kind of thing.
A lot more emphasized
Like-
into the milsim aspect of it, and that's for a
Oh,
different
Like I
audience.
enjoy it because I can jump into the game and I feel like I'm in the middle of a Star Wars movie.
To be fair, that's kind of how I was feeling when me and Devin and Soda are sitting here and I get strapped with forward operating base garrison defense as the squad lead, and like the other 7 squad leads are trying to do everything else. We don't have a commander because we're the droids, and they like to RP being the run-of-the-mill guys. No one wants to be the commander. So here I am being a squad leader operating 5 other squads in a fucking tent in a cave getting shot at by 3 different AT-ATs.
Oh my god, look at this clanker.
It just got to the point where everybody was like, what do we do? And I'm just shouting orders over, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of hail-firing bullets coming over my head every second. Like, we can't hear nothing. I'm just calling out general bearing directions, and everybody's just pointing guns and just, you know what I mean? Like, it's becoming a shit fest. I'm sitting here trying to get, like, all sorts of backup. I'm trying to get air support, and, like, the other teams are in the winds. And like I said, I got 4 other squads under me somehow. But other than that, I think it's one of those games that with the Battlefront Star Wars thing, it gets you in the moment. You really get to feel that adrenaline. You know what I mean?
It's 100% like, I don't know, man. Like, I've been a Star Wars fan my whole life. I've played damn near every video game that exists, and trust me, there's a lot of them out there. Because it's fucking Star Wars, right?
Right.
And the old Battlefront, and it's like the DICE Battlefronts. And listen, I'm saying this as somebody who adores the classic ones made by I forget who developed the classic ones in the PS2. But the DICE Battlefronts are the only ones that have come remotely close to like recreating the magic that is the movies for me. But this time I get to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something special. Yes, they're unbalanced. Yes, you know, Battlefront 2 had all that awful like pay to win shit at the start that has thankfully been stripped out.
But it unfortunately,
because DICE
unfortunately killed the game entirely. Unfortunately, but no, I say that because if it was like how it is now from the beginning, the game would still be as.
Yes, no, I get what you mean. It killed the chances of it of having a healthy long-term community rather than just a niche set of players who play it constantly. Right. I get that,
but
I lament what could have been. If those greedy fucks at EA had just let shit be, but no, we have to sit here and constantly have focus meetings about how to wring every last cent out of this game possible.
Well,
All right,
just EA.
I was about to say now
we need to wrap up. We're way over time.
Okay.
I mean, we've been worse off, so
we have.
I'd appreciate you guys coming in and listening into the podcast. If you like it, please give us a rating, share it with your friends. Right now, the algorithm isn't really helping us out because we're a small show. So if you can please just share our link wherever you might find people that might like us. Help get the word out. I appreciate
hit the streets.
Single one of you.
Go punch the pavement.
Now, if y'all have any feedback, any questions, anything like that, feel free to hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, anything like that.
No, don't hit
you
us
guys
on
have a
Instagram.
Wonderful night, okay?
We canceled the Instagram.
Bye.
But anyway, goodbye.
Hit up Devin's personal Insta.
Yeah, smell you later.